An iconic image, two former enemies brought together in a handshake of hope. The Oslo Accords were full of promise. Israel would gradually hand over Palestinian territory in exchange for peace. But 2 years later, the Israeli leader Yitzhak Rabin was assassinated, and many hopes for peace died with him. This was Wye River 5 years later. The talks nearly fell through, and it took all the Americans' efforts to get the deal signed. Benjamin Netanyahu was now Israeli Prime Minister. Within months, both sides were accusing each other of not living up to their promises. The agreement was never implemented.
I can't remember a single time in these negotiations between Arabs and Israelis, or between Palestinians and Israelis, where one side felt an urgency and a necessity to make the deal. So part of it may not be a problem with U.S. diplomacy. Part of it may be a problem with the nature of this conflict.
One final attempt by Bill Clinton to secure peace in the closing days of his presidency. Ehud Barak offered about 90% of the West Bank and parts of East Jerusalem, but the state would have been demilitarized and sliced up by Israeli roads. And Israel wanted Palestinian refugees to give up their right of return. Yasser Arafat refused. The body language said it all. Two men grappling with each other and what they could sell to their people. The summit broke up without a deal.
I think there were several problems with Camp David. One was that it was driven by the end of the Clinton administration as much as it was by anything else, and not by what's happening on the ground. Second, I think the Clinton administration didn't bring in enough international support, so Arafat was left exposed.
This was President Bush's attempt at peace talks. It was hard to escape the conclusion that Annapolis was a meeting for a meeting's sake, again dictated by an American timetable rather than what was happening on the ground. Bush's presidency was coming to an end, and he had a legacy to seal. American involvement in this process is absolutely essential, but it won't be enough in itself to achieve an agreement. That will require real political will from the two sides, and the next couple of days will be a test as to whether that exists. The Americans have summoned them, so Israeli and Palestinian leaders will attend. It's a sign of just how far the peace process has slipped that simply getting them into the same room is trumpeted as a major event. Jacky Rowland, Al Jazeera, Washington.